Cool. You mentioned before about having the right people around you. And that's one thing I think is super important. I feel like when someone is successful, you can almost pinpoint the people in their life who are a part of that success, whether directly or indirectly. And they say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. So who are those people for you? Now, your top 5 could be a 2 or it could be a 10. But who are the people in your life who help you be you?
My mother, you know, you gotta give it up to Mom Dukes.
Always.
I owe everything to her. My partner, who I love very much, she is a major supporter. Best friends, too many to name, but there's like 2 or 3 in particular that are really special to me. Myrna is one of them. My dad, and also my siblings. I have 3 siblings.
Can't forget that.
Majorly important to me. And also I'll say Dan Only, who produced this album. He's my primary creative partner. This guy, we make everything together. We made everything for this album, down to the artwork. So yeah, hugely important. Yeah, and just, you know, there's too many people to mention everybody, but there's more, you know.
Yeah, you and Dan on this have some kind of like Nas Hit Boy, like, you know, marriage. Like, I know you guys be working together, but I think that, you know, for your kind of coming back with this project, for y'all to do this together, I think that's what made it what it was, because I feel like there's a cohesiveness in the sonics of this project that is rare, because the sounds are all over the place. You know, like there's not like every song is the same kind of hip hop. Like there's songs on here where half the song isn't even a hip hop song.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like to have all of that and it still feels like it's a project, like that's pretty impressive.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, we put a lot of time and effort, and we tinkered with this thing a lot, man, over 3 years. And
damn,
I don't know if I'll ever make another LP. So
damn, that's how you're feeling.
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. I have high standards, and you know, for it to sound the way it does now, and to be as eclectic, and you know, I wanted it to be a journey, and it takes a long time to make it sound like that.
Sorry, we're not gonna speed past that. So, what made you feel like you might never make an LP again? I know you're not saying you're not gonna make music again,
right?
But what makes you think you might not make an LP again? I know it takes a lot of work. It's a lot that goes into it, but is there a specific thing about it that you're like, I might not do all of this over again?
It's that amount of work and care and labor in relation to the music industry.
Yeah,
right now, right?
Fair.
In relation to the way that pop culture works in this era, social media, and the fact that everybody's an artist.
Yeah.
People give an album that needs at least 2 weeks of your attention. They give it an hour, maybe. You know what I'm saying? The shelf life of the album is a week for everybody. People talk about an album for a week, you know.
Yo,
it's just this project is it's 3 years of my life is not. It's just worth more than a week of your time, you know.
I was gonna say that is a thing to me that I always commend artists who like continue to put out music, and not even just musicians, but visual artists, actors, directors. Is like the way things are now. People decide on your art like that.
Yeah,
and it blows my mind to think of like this is something that. Like, forget about the making of the music. Somebody talking about stuff that is like lifelong things you've been thinking about, lifelong things that you've been through. And in a second, it's just like, So yeah, I commend you guys for just, continuing to do that. Cause that, I think about when my stuff, it's like, you know how long it took me to do the research and you're only going to watch half the video. You know what I mean? Like,
and then on the other side, it's also like, is it fair to ask people for much of their time in this sea of content? This is an information age, man. there's thousands of hours of things to digest every day. So, you know,
like, yeah, I think is it fair is a real question. But I always go back to there are enough of us who are old enough to be from the time where we sat with an album.
Right.
There's enough of us to be from the time where we loved our favorite artists putting out music. You know, I always say it's like when you're putting out like a bunch of music over and over again, whoever's complaining is not a fan of you.
Right.
You know, you're not
right.
No one complained when DMX put out 2 albums in the same year. If you're a DMX fan, you were like, yes, please. You know, so. That's kind of the problem is that sometimes our supporters aren't as loud as the quote unquote haters or the contrarians. And it's like, how do we even sift through that, you know?
It's also a weird time where like we, you know, in the days when I came up, when I was like a real young buck out here, there was only a few people were artists, and you tended in your core group of friends, maybe you and maybe a couple other people were artists.
Facts.
Now everybody in your group of friends is an artist, right? Everybody's an artist, and you know, everyone wants to support each other and supports each other, but it's not like groups of friends rallying around one artist anymore. No, it used to kind of be like that.
Those days are done. You know? You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but another thing too I realized, and this is a big Toronto thing, is like our industry is so big with other artists where it's almost like, this is obviously not true, but it feels like where are the people to be a fan of the artist? It's like if you do a show, 70% of people at your show are in the music industry.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And like low key, they're just like taking notes or seeing like, oh, okay, you're doing that. All right, I'm gonna do this. Like,
you know, it's like, where's the real fandom? So. Yeah, I feel you with that. I honestly want, more full length projects from you.
Thank you.
I think that that art is not dead to me. You know, I do another podcast called Album Mode where we review albums every week, and we're seeing so many artists who it's their second album, they're trying to blow up and they knock it out the park and try a bunch of different sounds, or this artist has this one single we know and we hear the album and it's different from that single, but phenomenal. So I don't think that art is dead. I think there's something there. And I feel like, the messages you have, the music that you make, that's full length album music, like no one's going to catch that in a single. You know what I mean?
I'm exaggerating saying I'm not, I probably will. It's just, I think it's important to share with people how it feels to put out an album like this in this era, and that like, there's a huge imbalance in the energy that's used versus the acceptance of it.
And this too, it's been a long time for music, so people might believe you. Slumber was what, 6 years ago?
2018, 5 years ago.
5 years ago now. Yeah. So it's like I could get it. I don't want to give no one a jump scare.